Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 4:40 on Monday afternoon, May 6, 2013. I just got through recording the video and something crashed, so doing it again. So the good news is I should be able to keep this pretty brief because I do have a tendency to talk too much. Before we look at it, I need to remind you that the website and the video are for educational purposes only, and nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I can draw lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I'm not a licensed financial professional, just a guy that draws lines on charts. Okay, we talked about this over the weekend. It still looks to me, even though the S&P set a new high today, that things are starting to just kind of sag a little bit to a much less aggressive upward momentum than what we saw from starting in the middle of November through the end of February. And to make a long story short, we had this red line here that was kind of like really seeing a lot of action. When that line broke, the S&P has not been able to get back to that same rate of ascent that it had for those good solid 2.5 months. And it also appears that we are still seeing a series or a potential series of trend lines that are getting a little bit less inclined. In other words, they too are getting less aggressive. You see, this black line right here actually defined the resistance line for about 2.5 months, and we are significantly underneath that line right now. We are significantly underneath this red line, and we are coming up on potentially this blue resistance line that is there by virtue of these last three tops. See, we reached this level back in February, sold off, came back to that line, started to go sideways, sold off, came back to that line, sold off a little more. And now it looks like we're headed back up potentially to this blue line. If that's where we go, I'm thinking it should be resistance. Now, where do we see support? Let me just cut to the chase. I see this line as very likely resistance. This red line should be very strong resistance. If it ever gets tagged again, that should be very strong resistance. I do see some support. I see support just because of these last two tops. Well, they look like they were two tops, but the last two little nudges down, this one pretty significant, this one less so. These are right at about 1598. That should give some support. This yellow line, well, I don't know. The reason I don't know is it really has been, it didn't do anybody much good back in the middle of April. So if we come back and get through this pink line right here at 1598, if we were to come down swiftly, say tomorrow, which I doubt's going to happen, but if that were to happen, then I'm thinking this line probably wouldn't hold. But if we stay above it for a couple weeks potentially, then I don't think there's going to be a tremendous amount of support from this rising line, because we're seeing everything start to turn a little bit clockwise. So I think this line gets broken whenever it gets tested. And depending on where that is, it could be, more than likely, it would be before this pink line gets tested, the way things look on the chart right now. So, resistance, support, maybe support, strong resistance. I mentioned last week that it looked like we had maybe this little inverted head and shoulders pattern kind of forming here. Just this little thing. in the oval, and it did act just as that. When it got over 1598, that neckline, we put on almost exactly the expected amount of gain. Going forward, I would use this little line right here maybe as a sign that the market is done with this move up. So if we break back down through 1612, let's call it, then I think this little leg has probably run its course. So guys, that's it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I spent a good bit of time doing the first video and then lost it. Not good. And I'll just remind you, we don't have a topping pattern that we're looking at right now. One will eventually appear. We might be halfway there. I don't think we're any more than that. So take care. Thanks for watching.